Welcome to Yankee Chronicle. I'm your host, Abby Peel, and this week, HR Clough and Kearsarge Heating presents a full half-hour special learning about the Lake Sunapee region, VNA, and Hospice. The HR Clough companies are dedicated to providing the best local services and products and being a good corporate citizen with efforts like today's Yankee Chronicle special. Jim Culhane, the president and CEO, will give us a review of 2022 and will discuss how the agency will reset and move forward in a changed and changing home care industry landscape. Please stay with us as we hear from the underwriters that make your Yankee Chronicle possible.
NCTV programs are underwritten in part by HR Clough and Kearsarge Heating Oil, Propane, and Motor Fuels with design, installation, service, and maintenance of all types of energy systems, as well as air conditioning, water conditioning, and backup generators. Their friendly, highly trained, and certified staff is available to assist you throughout the process. HR Clough and Kearsarge Heating.
Welcome back to Yankee Chronicle. I'm your host, Abby Peel, coming to you from the Lake Sunapee region, VNA, and Hospice, and I'm now sitting down with the CEO, Jim Culhane. Hi, Jim.
Hey, Abby.
We're going to have a multi-part series here talking about the annual meeting, which is really exciting. There's a lot to cover, and it's the first time being back in person since February of 2020, 3 years.
Yes.
Big deal. Tell us about how that feels for everybody. The annual meeting is tonight, so that's a big deal.
We're really excited about it. We were trying to reconnect. We've spent the better part of the last 3 years, obviously, in the virtual environment.
Yes.
And now we're trying to re-engage and get back to seeing people face to face because relationships are important to us.
It is definitely important. What do people watching, I've been to the annual meeting, I think it was 2019 was the last time I was there, and it seems like such a blur. You don't remember sometimes even how to socialize with people again. So what can people expect by coming to the annual meeting?
Yeah, absolutely. It's an informal event. It's a great event. It's as much about talking and socializing. We do a short presentation in terms of the state of the agency. We talk a little bit about the environment we're currently working in and some of the barriers we're trying to overcome, which is part and parcel of being in healthcare these days. And we're going to be recognizing a number of people. We're going to be recognizing a number of staff who've won some awards.
Good.
And we're going to be recognizing the Volunteer of the Year award as well. So we're excited about it.
So important.
And there's wine and cheese served, so it's that social.
Okay, that should also get some people out to enjoy too. Talk a little bit about the state of the agency. Obviously, you're going to get into it tonight, but for people watching who can't make it or just curious, it's been for everybody quite the past 3 years, but for people in healthcare, it's that much more significant.
It's been a bit of a struggle, as I think a lot of people are well aware. The healthcare industry has changed dramatically in 3 years for a variety of reasons, and Lake Sunapee VNA is no exception. We've been focused on making adaptations to change and adapt with the new industry and how it operates. And that's something we're going to be talking a little bit about later tonight as well.
And for your staff, too, it must just be, you always do awards every year, but this year, or these last 3 years in particular, it must be so hard to pick staff members, and we'll get into the awards in a later segment, but to pick a staff member that's really gone above and beyond, because you've all had no choice but to go above and beyond.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up, because that actually prompted a change in how we do the staff awards.
I'm sure.
Because there's no just one staff who was great or two staff that were spectacular.
Right.
We really wanted to make it more of a peer vote process, so the peers voted for who they felt was in order to recognize, and we recognized actually a number of staff. Even though we had winners per se, we really wanted to recognize anyone who was really recognized by their peers as providing the supports to help get through the day.
Not that we're out of the pandemic necessarily, but I think we're all starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel a little bit. What are the hopes for the next not only year but 5 years for the VNA?
Yeah. So our mission remains unchanged, which is we really want to continue to provide high quality services for individuals to help keep them home. It has gotten very difficult. It was a crisis prior to COVID. It's become substantially more complicated, and that is just the hiring of quality staff.
I know.
It has been an extraordinarily difficult time, and again, not unique to Lake Sunapee VNA. We are part of a continuum of services in conjunction with Dartmouth-Hitchcock, London Hospital, Valley Regional Hospital, the skilled nursing facilities that we work with. Hiring a nurse, hiring a licensed nursing assistant has gotten very, very difficult, and that's having probably the greatest impact on our operations. And that's that's really what we're trying to continue to work on.
On a personal note, you took care of a family member of mine in the last calendar year. I've obviously always known what the VNA has done, but never got to see it.
Yeah.
I happened to be sitting there, a visiting nurse showed up, and it really put it into perspective on, okay, it's not just somebody who's showing up and, checking your blood pressure and saying, okay, have a good day. The relationship was there, and that's so important. And yes, it happened to be a very quality person that showed up, and I think that speaks to the VNA.
We're looking for people with unique skill sets.
Absolutely.
Not just the clinical skills and the education, but the confidence, the independence,
for sure,
and frankly, the maturity to enter into someone's home
completely
and work one-on-one with the person and help them recover or rehabilitate from what they were in the hospital or what they were sick with.
Exactly. Unfortunately, it's not just someone walking in and saying, "Are you hiring?" And that's an extra level. And I can only imagine that is a tough process. But I think it's important to mention that everybody that works at the VNA is so crucial to making this a successful organization.
Absolutely.
Jim Culhane will be back in the next segment.
Great.
This program is supported by Echo Communications, a digitally integrated commercial printer and mailer located in New London, New Hampshire since 1997, with roots going back much further as the country press, AccuMail, and the home of the Kearsarge shopper. Echo Communications.
Welcome back to Yankee Chronicle. I'm your host, Abby Peel, at this special edition at the Lake Sunapee Region VNA and Hospice as they get ready for their annual meeting. It's been 3 years since they've been in person, and tonight is the night that they're going to be able to all gather together and enjoy each other's company and learn about the state of which the VNA stands. And I'm back with the president and CEO, Jim Culhane. Hi, Jim.
Hi, Abby.
So, great recap that we just had about the annual meeting. So exciting to be back in person. But people might not understand or know exactly all that you offer. So I think it might be important to kind of go through the different departments that the VNA has, so that we can really understand what it is the VNA does, because it's in the title, but obviously there's more to it.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because I think it's pretty common that when we begin talking, especially with the public, they're actually quite surprised at what we do and how much we do with it.
Yeah.
Because on any given day, we're seeing hundreds of people in the communities we serve.
Incredible.
And and we have well over 125, 130 employees out in the field on any given day or week working to meet the needs of the communities we serve. But just to give you a quick breakdown, a quick overview of kind of the hierarchy of how the organization works, is we have a number of programs. Our largest program is one that most people associate with the VNA, and that's our home care program.
Sure.
Nursing, physical therapy, occupational therapy, social work, licensed nursing assistant, services that go into a person's home to help them recover, rehabilitate from a hospitalization or an injury or an illness. Our job is to help them get home, stay home, get better, and leave them independent. That's the primary focus.
Yep.
That's probably about 50% of what we do.
Okay.
Another very, very important service that a lot of people are aware of, although not necessarily the details of, are our hospice and palliative care programs. Hospice is really focused on end of life, and as you know, and as we see quite a bit, individuals would prefer to remain in their home at the end of life. They would prefer to be comfortable, and they would prefer to spend their last days with their family in their home. That's the goal of hospice, is to accommodate.
Yeah.
We also provide a palliative care service, which is works in conjunction with our home care and hospice services, but is also a standalone service, which is really to help people with advanced illness navigate that advanced illness, both from a clinical standpoint and from helping to alleviate symptoms, but also from a planning standpoint, meaning helping to make good decisions about what they want for the remainder of their life.
Interesting.
The last program, or programs I should say, are what's under the umbrella of what we call our Community Health Services program. And that constitutes our private duty program, which are the services that people can pay for to have assistance and remain in the home.
Okay.
As well as a number of what we call mission-oriented services, which are programs that we provide to, again, keep people in the home, not necessarily healthcare focused, more long-term care focused.
Okay.
So services such as helping people with bathing or dressing or keeping their house clean. Services that are vital, that without which these individuals will most likely not be able to stay in their home.
Understood.
Some of those programs are covered by grants that we get through the state or through Medicaid services. So there's a number of different smaller programs that we operate. One big piece of news, which I think is really important, that's going to be coming out, we're going to be talking a little bit tonight, is we are going to be reopening our Good Day Respite program, which is our adult day non-medical care for individuals with memory impairment here in New London. This was a program that was vital to some of what we did as an agency pre-COVID. Closed because of COVID for obvious reasons, and we're going to be opening our Good Day Respite here in New London again on May 2nd.
That's so exciting and so crucial for, and you just did a partnership with the New London Bar and Playhouse for the improv for caregivers, and seeing the response to that was, I mean, we all know that there is Alzheimer's and dementia community within our small town or within the state, but to see just the amount of people that saw that that was a benefit to them, to learn how to be a caregiver kind of on the spot, then correlate with now respite back. I mean, you can just tell that there's a need for that in this community.
Yeah, there really is.
Yeah, there really is. We were here in November in the Renaissance Shop. We seem to come around that time every year, and it happened to be Hospice Week, and we were talking about that. I was really taken aback and surprised of how many different parts of the hospice department there are here. To me, it was thinking, okay, you know that someone's at their end of life and someone comes in from the VNA to kind of navigate that. It was incredible, the amount of different people that we talked to that had a part in which someone could choose to have them with their end of life. You didn't have to have each single person come in. But that's a really important part to this community, that you can have somebody come in or call here and say, we really need your services, and you can offer X, Y, and Z. But staffing that has got to be just crucial and challenging. It is a complex service, is an elaborate service. You're right. There's many different levels and supports that we put in, because not everybody's the same. Our responsibility is to take care of the individual, but also we do our best to take care of the family. Sometimes that's medical. We need to alleviate symptoms. Sometimes it's not medical. Sometimes it's psychological and social and spiritual. Sometimes the bulk of the care we're providing is really just helping them manage the end of their life, and they're not having substantial symptoms. So our job is to support the individual and the family. And then the other component that most people don't realize is that we have a role to support the family even after the person passes away. That was a very interesting part. For 1 year, you can join the support groups, things like that. And I thought that that was just something that the average person walking down the street may not realize, and to know that the VNA is here to support those people.
That's exactly right. So we run bereavement services.
Bereavement services, thank you, yes.
Services are really for those individuals who could really use an extra support and assistance after the passing of
so important to talk about, and I learned so much. I mean, I think a lot of times I go into interviews and I'm like, all right, I know the general sense of it, and I was actually completely taken aback of how much that one department really could offer. And it wasn't just for the one person going through end of life, it was for the whole family as well. Thanks, Jim. When we come back, we'll talk about careers and recruitment here at the Lake Sunapee Region VNA and Hospice.
This program is supported by Main Street Bookends of Warner for books, toys, games, cards, gifts, and a gallery of local art. Main Street Bookends of Warner.
Welcome back to Yankee Chronicle. I'm your host, Abby Peel, in this special segment with the Lake Sunapee Region VNA and Hospice as they prepare for their annual meeting. First time in 3 years they're going to be in person. And I'm back with the CEO, Jim Culhane. Hi, Jim.
Hi, Abby.
So we've hinted at it twice already, and it's no surprise that there is a career shortage, a hiring shortage, not only in our community, in the state, in the country. It goes across the board. And healthcare is one that continues to see some challenges, and also because it's someone that you need to have with some skills. So talk about, not only the recruiting as a whole, but we'll talk specifically too about some job openings if you want to talk about it, but recruiting and training I think is another thing that you don't see that you'll offer. So first we'll talk about careers as a whole here at the VNA. I mean, obviously you have employees, which is fantastic, but you have openings.
We do. We have a number of openings, and really the reason we have openings is because the demand for services is growing and growing. The number of people who need services for nursing, physical therapy, from home care, from hospice is getting larger and larger. We're an aging population, especially in our area, so the demand is increasing. In order to meet that demand, we have to continue to increase our supply of available staff, and that has become probably the greatest and most critical issue that we have in healthcare in our area. Not unique to us. look at the job postings at Dartmouth-Hitchcock, look at the job postings at other facilities,
Sure.
and you'll see that there's a substantial shortage. We're not able to do that which we want to do, or provide it at the level or at the quality that we'd like to provide, because we're really struggling to find the nurses, the licensed nursing assistants, the therapists, and that's a reality, unfortunately.
And this isn't a job where it's just Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, take holidays off, and it goes around. These are calls on weekends, in the middle of the night, on a random Wednesday at lunchtime. So you need the staff to support that. And then, as you mentioned, people are living longer, people are aging here, and so you need to be able to fill that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, so we try to be very creative in a lot of our jobs, and I'll use some of the jobs you had talked about. So we do try to create just a Monday through Friday nursing job, and we want them. And the reason for that is you can attract people when you begin to communicate with them that you understand what quality of life and what balance is. And if you can show up to work at roughly 8 o'clock and be done at roughly 4 or 5, then that's a pretty good, predictable quality of life. So then we do provide 24-hour services. So then we hire someone who's working from 5 to midnight. And then we hire someone that works from 12 midnight to 8 a.m. So we're really trying to provide as much quality of life, as much balance to people, so they don't have to cover evenings, weekends, and so on and so forth. That's important. Some of the creativity that we invest in.
Smart.
One of the biggest components of the conversation usually revolves around salary and how much are the nurses making, and what are we paying versus what what other organizations are paying. And the reality is, it's difficult to compete against huge health systems such as Dartmouth because they have resources that we don't. They're an excellent organization, but it's difficult for us to compete against. What we like to compete and what we like to put forward and what we think we're extraordinarily strong is certainly a competitive wage and benefits package, but more importantly, quality of our work, of the work experience, the ability to work one-on-one with patients, which is rare these days, and our culture. Our culture is something that we focus an extraordinary amount of time on in order to support the staff. We recognize how difficult a job they had pre-COVID, how much harder it is now, and we invest a lot of time and energy to really wrap ourselves around and supporting the staff, because at the end of the day, quality staff who are happy provide much more quality services to the individuals that we provide care to.
Well, and it speaks volumes when you see posts on Facebook of Employee of the Month, or just you or Kathy or Gina that have been here. It's not like I'm talking to a new CEO and president every other year. I mean, you and I know each other now. Yeah, so I think that speaks volumes to the community too, that sure, people may move or go on or retire, change career paths. That's one in the same, but that people come and they must enjoy it, because you see people that have been here for 10, 15 years, or have come newly but have come from a different organization similar to this, meaning they must love what they do.
That's right. I think the biggest issue we have is, or I should qualify it saying, we retain staff really well.
Which is incredible.
When they arrive here, they tend to stay here. Our biggest issue is getting our word out, educating people of what we do and who we are, to try to recruit more people to come in. Once we get them to the, one of the things we talk about in human resources is once we get them into the interview, then we tend to do pretty well.
Good.
But the shortage and the lack of availability of quality nurses, therapists, licensed nursing assistants on down the line is it's difficult to even have people apply for the jobs. And again, not unique to us, but it is really arrived at a critical level that is beginning to, I'm sad to say, interfere with the care that healthcare providers want.
How could it not? When we come back, we'll talk about the training and how you can get involved and a career in healthcare.
This program is supported by the Innertown Record, your weekly hometown community newspaper covering the Kearsarge, Sunapee, Sunshine region of New Hampshire. The Innertown Record.
Welcome back to Yankee Chronicle. I'm your host, Abby Peel. This special edition as the Lake Sunapee Region VNA and Hospice prepares for their annual meeting tonight. I'm still sitting down with Jim Culhane, the CEO and President of the Lake Sunapee Region VNA. Hi, Jim.
Hi, Abby.
So we were talking about careers before. I think it's really important to talk about your training program here, because I think it really sets you aside from just another job posting out there, that you can offer this really impressive training program.
There's a number of things that that we do. People that already have some skills that want to learn more skills, we focus on. People who've never even worked with patients, we talk to, and I'll elaborate. And we also have relationships with other educational institutions such as Colby Sawyer to really help recruit people that can, while they're working here, take advantage of education that's provided. They have an associate's to a bachelor's level program at Colby that we will pay for a component of their tuition. They have graduate level classes that we'll pay. We have a very strong tuition reimbursement program. We pay people, if you want to become a licensed nursing assistant, we will pay you to become a licensed nursing assistant.
Amazing.
But one of the things that we do and we try to do is we try to entertain and have conversations with people about, are you considering working with patients? Is this a new career? Working with patients takes a unique skill set, but we're willing to provide that education. So you can begin working with the agency and we'll provide a very formal education and orientation process to teach you how to begin to provide personal care to individuals that work for patients that live in their homes.
Sure.
It is an entry-level program that's really important to us, and we see some improvements in terms of our staffing by appealing to people who have thought about wanting to provide care and have never really taken people up on it. So recruiting people to come into the agency, teaching them, orienting them on how to provide personal care with the supervisor. We do that. It takes a good few days, weeks, months to do.
Sure.
But at the end of it, they ultimately arrive at having their licensed nursing assistant certification.
Yeah.
And then they can begin a career in health. We like to see as well that sometimes LNAs then decide they want to become nurses.
Right.
And we support them through education as well as tuition reimbursement to help them become nurses.
Amazing.
So we do have this rather developed career ladder that we try to help entry-level people navigate so that they can pursue and get into healthcare. And we do see people who are young.
Yep.
People who have just graduated high school. But we also people who have second careers.
Yeah.
These are people who are 30, 40, 50, who have decided that they want to do something different, get more into healthcare, and then we help them navigate accordingly.
And as a community member who may need a service of the VNA, it's great to hear that your staff is always wanting to continue their education and learn and use those resources. So that's incredible and definitely something people should take a look at. If people are interested in a career at the VNA, head to your website.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. Look
Check
at our
it out.
website. Look at the jobs. We have one of the jobs is a homemaker position, which is fairly simple on paper. When people apply for homemaker position, which is really just assisting people to keep their houses clean,
Yep.
which is extraordinarily important for people if they want to remain in their home.
Completely.
Alone. We try to help those people understand. Say, hey, listen. You can certainly work here, but would you be interested in kind of graduating and moving more towards personal care?
Right.
Would you be interested in pursuing your license as a nursing assistant? Because we'd be more than happy to. So that's kind of one of the entry levels, one of the portals that we access people to try to help them move along the continuum of healthcare.
Perfect way to segue into honoring your employees, all employees, I'm sure, at the annual meeting tonight, first time in 3 years that you will be in person. But we hinted about it before, but you really have a unique way of figuring out who these recipients are of these awards, because how do you pick just a couple of people out of all the wonderful staff that you have? So talk a little bit about that, and then we can talk about who the recipients are.
Yeah, we had a more traditional approach prior to COVID, the Employee of the Year award, so on and so forth. But this year we decided to go to the staff because we wanted to recognize a number of different people. And we wanted to make it kind of peer-driven, which is, in your world, who is the person who is the support that provides certain assistance?
Fantastic.
In your world, rather than a top-down approach. So it was really a peer survey process. And that was a really neat experience for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is, for each of the awards, and we did have a formal award winner for our categories, but there were lots of people who are nominated.
I'm
and
sure.
Simply being nominated by your peers for a certain award was recognition enough. And as such, that's exactly what we did, which is we recognized everybody who even got one vote in the peer support.
Right.
To that, from our perspective, if just one person voted, that's one person that looked up to you, that feels as if you went above and beyond, that you provide a level of assistance that really helped them. And we wanted to recognize all of those people.
I love that.
So as such, even though we have award winners for our awards, we really recognized several dozen staff overall in terms of all of the work they do, which is really important.
You have to in today's day and age.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about the 4 winners and how you picked. I love the names of the awards first and foremost. But as you said, these are peer voted on, which I think is extra special.
Yeah. It really was. We really wanted to get the staff's input, and they're the ones that drove this. So, and we wanted to be creative as well in terms of the type of award we were giving, as opposed to the generic Employee of the Year award. There were different categories that, again, the peers and the peers helped vote, and all of the staff helped kind of identify what these awards would be. So it was kind of it was a team consensus, basically.
Definitely.
But the awards were Stepping Up for the Greater Good Award, which was the person who goes above and beyond. Who's the person that in a pinch will do what needs to be done in order to get something done?
Yep.
The other is the Mountain Mover Award. This is the award for an individual who will do what they have to do to get the problem fixed, basically.
Fantastic.
We have the Most Likely to Make Someone Smile Award.
Fantastic. We need that.
We need that, right? I mean, this is the person that they put a smile on your face, they make you laugh every time you see them. And in healthcare, as is the case with any industry, healthcare humor is a necessity to survive the day.
Yes.
And this is a person who really helps us with that.
Yes.
And then lastly, we had You Are My Anchor Award, which is the award given to the individual who really is the foundation of support, that if I have an issue, I know exactly where I'm going to get support. If I'm having a hard day, I know exactly where I'm going to get support. If I have a problem that I'm really struggling with, I know exactly where I'm going to get support. And those were the awards. Again, that was a large group of staff and managers got together and created those award categories, and as such, that's what we arrived at.
Fantastic. Before I let you go, we're not going to announce who the winner of the volunteer award is, but we should just talk to you about the importance of volunteers for the VNA.
Volunteers are crucial. First of all, they're the backbone of a number of different programs that we run. Anybody who's been to the Renaissance shop, almost all volunteers. Anybody who's accessed and is aware of our hospice program, very, very strong volunteer program. So those are services, and then we have respite services. We have staff, we have volunteers that come in just help in the office. Volunteers play an extraordinarily important role into how we operate, without which we would not be terribly successful.
Sure.
We have an annual volunteer award. We're super excited about announcing. I won't share who it is, but we're super excited about our Volunteer of the Year award. COVID as well substantially impacted our volunteer pool.
Of course.
Prior to COVID, we had over 100 volunteers that worked for this agency. COVID really decimated that in terms of they weren't allowed to volunteer for us because we had to really contract and shrink what we were capable of doing during COVID. But now that we're getting on the other side of that, we're really starting to elicit a lot of requests and a lot of people who are going to be joining us from a volunteer standpoint. Good Day Respite's another good example. It's got a lot of volunteers that make that program run. So volunteers are crucial to us. We're excited that we're starting to see a lot of ramping up in our volunteer commitments and a lot of volunteer availability because it's crucial to what we do, and we're going to celebrate that. It is,
and to hear you say that they could not volunteer is just something you never thought in a million years we would ever have to say. And we did. For 3 years, you had to say you cannot volunteer.
Can't do it.
And so I would think this award tonight is extra special because it's been a while since somebody could be recognized. Jim Culhane, there is so much happening at the VNA. There's been obviously 3 years in review since you've been in person, but now seeing a lot of the changes that are happening now that we can kind of get back to a little bit of everyday life must feel good to all of you here at the VNA.
We're excited. We have a lot of barriers we have to overcome, and that's the nature of healthcare these days. But we have a spectacular group of people that work here. And we're very confident that we're going to be providing services as per our mission for many, many years to come.
We need you. That's the most important thing. Congratulations on an exciting night tonight, and thanks for sitting down with me and chatting.
Thanks, Abby.
Next week, in an effort to prepare voters for their town elections, H.R. Clough will present as a public service representatives of Warner's Power Committee. The committee is creating a proposal to pool ratepayer accounts into a large group to buy electricity at lower rates. The plan would offer several mixes of renewable versus fossil fuel energy. The lowest rate would be lower than or equal to the Eversource default rate. If the plan is approved at town meeting, Warner Community Power would become the default electricity supplier shown on the Eversource bill. All YCN programs are available anytime on demand at ycnnow.com. Tune in at the same time next week for another Yankee Chronicle. Thank you for watching.
This program is supported by H.R. Clough and Kearsarge Heating, Their full-service model offers oil delivery, propane, motor fuels with design, installation, service, and maintenance of all types of oil, gas, and alternative energy systems.